See, it's spinning wheel.
The stream is live.
All right, we are live. Hey, everybody, welcome to the first episode of the podcast to be named later. We have not decided the name yet, but we are going to figure something out. I can't read it. Don't know what it says, Nick.
New podcast. I'm just trying to let everybody know that's
New
watching.
podcast. All right.
Woo!
So, on this new podcast, we are going to be talking about a bunch of different things. We're going to be talking about Christmas lights. We'll probably eventually be talking about inflatables, starting your own business, all sorts of stuff. We're going to just have a lot of fun with it. Okay. So, my name's Matthew Billington. I am the owner of Big and Bright Inflatables. I also own Bigfoot Dollies, Big Bad Wolf Blowers, Let's Get Lit Supply, Big and Bright Christmas lights. I am a serial entrepreneur, obviously. And so is my co-host here, Nick Glassett, with the jump off with Rays. He also owns Let's Get Lit Supply, the jump off store. He's been on blocks. Man, I think I'm forgetting stuff. So, Nick, introduce yourself. What else are you doing? What else have you been on?
So I am an entrepreneur that turned into, I guess you could call me a part-time YouTuber. That probably sounds the most accurate. Part-time YouTuber and part-time podcaster. And then as I started hiring for these businesses, they kind of started to get easier to run. So then I turned myself into a serial entrepreneur, launched a whole bunch of other stuff. Yeah, so I have the jump off store. I have Let's Get Lit, where I install Christmas lights. Let's Get Lit Supply co-own with Matt and Mike, our other co-owner.
Shout out to Mike.
Yeah, shout out to Mike. And then just started Raise Bookings with my friend Brooke. So I'm a co-founder in that. And we are a booking service for other bounce house companies. So we basically answer their phone and text messages and raise their sales, hence the name Raise, R-A-Z-E Bookings. And then if you want to add in there, the YouTube channel is kind of a business in and of its own thingy. So I don't know if that counts or not, but yeah, so I kind of can't sit still. And then now I'm trying to make the transition over to a lot more of a content creator. I definitely do create content, but it's very hit and miss with timing. And then it's hit and miss with popularity too. But I do end up having some videos that go, into the millions. And so it's kind of frustrating to sit around and not make videos for a month because I'm busy. So trying to get that going too. So that's who I am in a nutshell.
Awesome. And so, we've been working together on Let's Get Lit Supply, and we started thinking about it, and we said, man, we really need to get on the air and do some stuff together and just get some good information out there. And this is how that podcast went. But we are live, and I'm gone, so I'm calling in some help here. Hey, I have lost the camera. Please come down.
Camera down.
Again, this is live. It is what it is. In the meantime, you're going to have to carry the load here. So, first chapter of this episode, first thing that we want to do, I called spark of inspiration, the illuminating origins. So since we're focused primarily on this first episode on Christmas lights, what I wanted to find out from you, Nick, is what got you into the Christmas light business? What made you want to start hanging lights?
So I hated hanging lights. I did the most terrible job you could ever do on my own house, just enough to appease my wife. And it would be like December 12th or something. Basically I'd quit my job. I had 2 bounce houses and I'd quit my job. I was driving Uber. I was selling, trash off the side of the road, basically, literally, but reselling. And just to make money, bring something in while I tried to figure out what the hell I wanted to do with my life. I was going to start a consulting agency. I fell out of love with that really fast. And then I didn't know what the heck I wanted to do with my life after that. So one day we're walking home from the bus stop. I was dropping my kindergartner son off at the bus stop. And then my next door neighbor's kid was probably in 2nd grade. And we're just walking back bullshitting. And at this time in my life, everybody's giving me an idea of what business to start. You should do this. You should clean solar panels. You should blah, 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 whatever. And she goes, I bet people would pay you to hang their Christmas lights. Well, I'm jobless and bored, and it's about a week before Thanksgiving. And so I went inside and kind of Googled some stuff and was like, oh my God, this is actually a thing. So I made a Facebook post and some Facebook Marketplace posts. I had to cheat to get those posts in there, but I did what I did. And then a couple of days later, I was out with graph paper and a tape measure, like I needed this or something, out giving bids, trying to just act like I knew what I was talking about. So I ended up landing a couple jobs. I got good at it pretty quickly. because it's kind of repetitive, And so I was showing up hanging Christmas lights that the client owned with whatever they had. I was just basically me and a ladder. So I borrowed a ladder from my buddy John because I didn't own one, and I borrowed a truck from my dad because I didn't own a car because I had a fleet car with Journeys, and when I quit Journeys, I had to give them back their free car. So I literally started a Christmas light business with a truck that was borrowed and a ladder that was borrowed. It was just basically out there on a shoe shine and a smile, so they say. I ended up really kind of falling in love with it. I did a teeny bit of marketing that year. Ended up doing, I think, 12 or 13 houses. I was way too cheap, but I had no idea what I was doing. But it was all good. So then, the next year I planned on about tripling my revenue. That was the plan. And I ended up 10xing my revenue because it's a real industry and I did a better job. But anyway, that's how I got into the Christmas light business, by my next door neighbor, Lori. So always, always, always shout out to you, Lori. My next door Lori said, I bet people would pay you to hang Christmas lights. And then I'm just ambitious and just go, baby.
Just go. She was 100% right. So I'll tell you my story real quick on how I ended up hanging Christmas lights. But I was running a rental bounce house business. And when you run a rental bounce house business, what happens is throughout the summer, you got plenty of work, you got stuff going on, you start getting employees that you really like. I had hired, I think, 3 full-time employees that I really wanted to keep and be able to pay through the winter. So I was looking for a way to make some money once the bounce house business slowed down for the winter, and Christmas lights made perfect sense. I had heard that it could be real profitable. So I started doing some research. We had a local facility I went into, talked to the guy there. He gave me all the information, and I bought the website, bigandbrightchristmaslights.com, and decided that we were going to do it. So I don't know, September, October timeframe, had some signs, posted them all over the place throughout the Ellis County area, and started getting phone calls, started selling lights. And before you know it, that first season, I think we sold about $45,000 worth of lights. I think we hung about 45 houses that first year. And the truth of the matter is, we could have definitely done more. I just didn't have time. I stopped calling people back. I started pricing myself out intentionally because that's all I could really handle that first year. But it gave me some income for the winter to keep some of those full-time employees on board, and that was really what it was supposed to do. So that's kind of my story. I think that there is a lot of other people, maybe listening or in the future listening, that you're running a business that coordinates with this time schedule as well. Inflatables are not the only one. Landscapers, power washers. Who else can you think of, Nick, that could benefit from Christmas lights?
Yeah, just anybody in that services businesses that has anything to do with being outside. So you're going to get cold, and then it gets hard to land jobs. The other thing too is, I talked to an electrician or something. I don't remember who he was. I was chatting with him online, and basically what he said
they do
was,
it sometimes. Electricians do it sometimes.
Yeah, because or maybe he was a cabinetry guy, but he said that it gets super slow close to Christmas because obviously everybody's spending their money on Christmas. So aside from your landscapers, your roofers, your gutter cleaners, your power washer guys, like they're all slow. But then a lot of industries get slow, right? Because people spend money on toys and other garbage, not necessarily whatever they're doing, right? Like think of all the things you buy in the spring. That's not going to be a very busy business in November. So it's an opportunity that's out there for a ton of people. So if you guys want to come into the Christmas light industry, we will teach you pretty much everything you need to know one way or another. But just don't come in and ruin it, dude. Don't come in here and drop prices and be all cheap and lame and uninsured.
Absolutely, man. We will teach you, but we'll ask you to do it right for sure. That's one thing. All right, let's transition away from what got us into this. And I've got I'm going to call on you, Nick, to do a little product spotlight here. But we put a little fun video together first.
It's not too late to whip it. Whip it good.
Oh, my timing sucks.
All right, of course we're going to have problems. It's not going to play.
It's not too late to whip it.
Whip it good.
Ah, man, it's not playing, but it's all good. So basically, we're going to call this Clip It Good. All right. We're going to play off of the Whip It Good song, but Clip It Good. And you are going to talk about your favorite clips. Did you see? The video was all breaking up, so it wasn't great, but Joe did an amazing job of where they whipped the cigarette out of the mouth. He changed it over to a clip. So this girl had a clip in her mouth. Whipped it right out of there. All right, Clip It Good. Nick, take it over. Tell us a little about your favorite clips and what kind of clips are in this industry.
Okay, so this clip right here is, I'm going to start with my least favorite. So this is called a shingle tab. We used to use these like crazy. There's a lot of gutters, a lot of houses without gutters around here. It rains every day, so the builders don't put gutters on the houses. Stupid. Anyways, not very secure because it just slides into the shingle. So if you're clipping, a roof like this, it's going to kind of have downward angle. You got a lot of plastic you can see in the daytime. Not that that's that big of a deal. But these I used to love, and now we've actually gone totally away from them. Next clip is probably my next least favorite. And you're like saying to yourself, Nick, that looks like a C9 Tough clip. That looks like a flex clip from Tough Clips. How can that not be your favorite? Okay, so I'm with you on that. This bad boy is so sexy when it comes to clipping on the front of your gutter. The front of your gutter, this thing is just like it clips on, and sexy is the right word. It just fits perfectly. It doesn't wobble around. It keeps everything nice and straight. It is designed perfectly. David from Tough Clips, you are a genius. Okay, so we thought we'll start switching to the shingle houses to this. Okay, so then instead of pointing out, your bulb points up. So on the gutter, they're going to point out, obviously. And then on the roof, they're going to point up. It just got easier to do that because that way you're not messing with two different clips and have to do, yeah, I think that's kind of self-explanatory. So this was like kind of good, kind of not. Well, then this bad boy came along, and this is called the Minleon V2 clip right here. So this is a pretty sweet clip. Now, where it lacks is the gutter application. It just doesn't clip on as good to the gutters. It's not as satisfying. It's not quite as straight. It doesn't matter at night, though. So you go to, run half a house with this, half a house with this. You won't even notice the difference at night, right? So that's really the important thing. But as you're installing, it just doesn't feel as satisfying. It can be a kind of a pain to clip on. But why I switched to these is if you notice that little shape right there, it's almost like a wedge shape, whereas this one's flat all the way up. See that? So it goes up and out. So basically, let me use my journal here to kind of show you this. So basically what's going to happen is if this is a shingle, this wedge shape is going to go up in there like that, and that holds it. Can I get that to the camera? Oh, there we go. See how that wedge shape in there kind of holds it? And there's even good friction on my freaking journal paper, whereas your normal Tough Clip goes straight in and much less friction because it's flat inside of there. Doesn't have that wedge shape. So we switched to these because they're badass on shingles and they don't fall out. Way, way, way less calls for lights that fall down after a storm off a dormer window. A gable's usually not that big of a deal, right? Because it's not sloped down. But a dormer window that's sloping down, it's very easy for these to fall out. So that wedge shape solved that problem. So we switched to those completely last year. Well, then guess what David from Tough Clip comes out with? The sexy one with a wedge. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is the best of all the worlds. So you've got your awesome shingles. You've got your awesome gutters. It's quicker. It's more secure. It's just better. There also, if you kind of notice, it might be hard to tell on camera. It might be easy to tell. There's kind of a color difference. This is treated with all sorts of UV inhibitors. This supposedly is, but this kind of turns yellow. These do not last as long. They get brittle and they start to break way sooner than this will. That will happen to this eventually, but way, 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 way later. So this can be used multiple years, no problem. I bet you could get away with 5 years and have no issues if you're just installing in November and uninstalling in January. So that bad boy is the go-to clip. That is what all of my install companies are going to be using on every single bulb going forward, unless it's, a Chick-fil-A. You got to use these on a Chick-fil-A, but that's a different story. Then I want to do honorable mention. So this is the Caney clip. it's kind of obvious how it goes, right? You just pop the socket in there and these little teeth kind of hold it in. So I never used these on roofs. We tested these this year with ground stakes, and the guys loved them because they're so easy. Click, 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 boom, done. I disliked them because at uninstall, these are popping off. And then the other thing that's happening is when this breaks off, which happened on quite a few ground ones, this breaks off maybe when it's cold or something. It doesn't work. It's garbage. It's trash. I mean, I'm not saying that's never going to break, but like that's never going to break. So we were going to test these this year just because I was thinking that would grip a shingle pretty good, but we're not doing this. I'm not even going back to these with ground stakes. I'm going over to the Minion ground stakes that basically have this on them. So it's that with a ground stake. I'm going to go to those. So they're just more secure. But the winner of Clip It Good is definitely the wedge clip from Tough Clip. No question.
I agree. So, man, I wouldn't even give those, I don't know what you actually call them, but crown types. I wouldn't even give them honorable mention, man. I use them on ground stakes. They are pretty quick to snap in. But man, they pop out, they break, they bend. It's really kind of a 1-year clip. I'm right there with you with anything with the halo in it for a ground stake or on a roof. So we used to do. Let me ask you a couple quick questions. We used to do a couple different things. So what we would do is we would use gutter clips because we wanted them all pointed straight up, and then we would use the shingle clips, like the halo ones, for underneath the shingles. I thought that I was being, better than everybody else and making everything point in one direction. I found that the customers just don't care. All right. Additionally, I found out that the other way it was a pain in the butt because I could never pre-spool, have everything ready because I didn't know how many gutters I was going to need before I needed a shingle, then back to a gutter, and so on or so forth. Do you have any do you do all the pre-spooling ahead of time, or do you do it everything on site?
Yeah, so we used to go walk around with tape measures, and you'd go measure it, do some math, and be like, okay, 14 gutter clips. Then you go measure the gable. Okay, 28 for the 28 shingle tabs going up the gable. And then I'm like, this is like it's fine and dandy when it's brand new and you're gonna do 10 houses or 12 houses. Like it's cool and it's fun and you get to be all detail oriented and obsessive compulsive. But that behavior just does not scale. So we switched to doing what you're doing. We just
Yeah,
pre-spool with
100%.
these. Yeah. So we pre-spooled about 3,000. I think it was 3,000 feet this year, and it was like gone in like 4 days as soon as we get
Oh,
into season. So I don't know if we're gonna pre-spool or not, just because I'm like, I don't know if that whole thing, kind of the organization of it all, was worth it or not. I don't know. Maybe we will.
I know we are. I loved it. It just made the installs on site so much faster. Um, you can get away with sometimes you get away with one less guy. But I remember having to kind of like you, I'd have to be out there, and as soon as I'd be like, right away, you just start spooling right away, just go crazy, and then we'll figure the rest out. And then I would be climbing up on the roof, and they'd be feeding it to me, and the spool guy would be over there trying to keep up with me on the ground. He keeps having to move his pile and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
For me, it's just run out there with the pre-spool, rock and roll, use one clip across the board. The only thing that we still use a second clip for, and tell me what you think about this, is the ridge lines. So we were still using a ridge line clip over the top. I know some people don't. Some people use like the V2s, or they use the tough clip, just slide it under one of the shingles.
This
That's
is
what you like on ridge lines?
This is generally our go-to move for anything that's going to be ridges, hips and ridges is going to be this, with the exception of if you have a roof where you've got a ridge that runs backwards and is basically perpendicular to the road. So the road's this way and the ridge is this way. You can only decorate
Yeah.
one side. So
You can
we
only
would
go on
use
side. Yeah.
we'd use the Caney clips that go over the ridge cap. My guys call them spider clips, so that's what we just call them all now, is spider clips. But we use those in that application. But if the house has, simple house where it's got hips that go like this and then a ridge that goes across the top, we shoot that whole thing all the way around with shingle tabs.
Okay, good deal. Yeah. The spider clips or the Caney ridge clips or whatever you want to call those things, they are a pain. to take off. They're also a pain to store and to reuse the next year. They get bent, but they look beautiful because they get it right on the edge of the ridge or the hip or whatever you're trying to do. But at night, again, you can't see that. So it's really more of a visual thing. It's not a matter of like what you're going to be able to see at night. It's just a visual thing during the day that is like, okay, it's not right on the tip top point or whatnot. So I think you can go either way on that. I'm not super committed one way or another.
I know I know Caney made that ridge clip with this on it, the 3-prong thingy. Like the ones that we had, they like clip the side of the bulb. I'm sorry, the socket. And yeah, and then at takedown, they're just going everywhere. And I'm like, dude, these things are 75 cents a pop. And they're just like sliding down, getting stuck in gutters. Just like there's no possible way that the guys get even probably half of them because they fall off. So I thought about spending the extra money to get these. I totally forgot to do it for last year. But then we used we used these ground stakes, and I thought these were stupid. So I'm with you on these. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Somebody needs to make this, the ridge clip with this. Like David from Tough Clips, do your thing with a ridge clip, dog. Get us this on a ridge clip, please.
Absolutely. I thought I actually, man, my mind's not thinking straight, but I thought I saw some this year, but maybe not. When it gets closer to season, I can pull everything back out. I'll find out. All right. Well, I think that was a pretty good little chapter on Clip It Good. So we're going to move on to another one that I like to call Why We Will Always Have Christmas Lights to Hang. And I don't have as much fun video to start out, but this is just, I'm going to show you a couple videos and let you comment on it. I'll probably comment as well, but this is why homeowners will always, always, always need us. We'll always have plenty of work. This guy looks like he's doing a good job there, but then, oh,
dude, right on the gut.
Listen to him. Listen to him.
He's just walking around with his hands on his hips.
He's just on the.
Oh my God! Don't be that guy.
First off, I love Nest. I love Ring cameras. They get us this. But look, let me zoom in here for you and show you. Look, this is where it goes wrong. Right in the middle. He thought he had it locked out. All of a sudden, it's just gone.
Closed on him?
Oh, it closed on him. So first off, use good ladders for sure. Using good ladders super important. But you got to make sure it's locked out. You got to make sure the ground is level. Or else you're going to end up. It's brutal.
I feel like, and I don't teach this to my guys, but I feel like escaping that is not as hard as it would. Like, he should have just kind of fallen with the ladder and then like hopped to the side. Like, that's not some crazy ninja move. Like, to just like ride that puppy to the ground.
All right, let me switch over here to another little one here. So this is more just on the frustrating, but these guys, they're working together. First off, husband and wife team, right? So you always got to be, I don't know how that goes in your family, but in my family, it doesn't go well. There ends up a whole lot of like, I told you. And it's supposed to be that way. And so they've been going at this for a little while. You can see they already got yard decorations, and they're probably at their wits' end. And now they're shuffling the ladder, and then
move that ladder.
and then they just all fall down. We've all been. Look at her face go. You can't see it or hear it on here, but on my version, she's like, "Oh my God."
That's why
she's so frustrated, right? So this is the kind of thing that just happens all day long. Yeah. So show that. I'm gonna zoom you in there. Show that. How do you avoid that from happening?
I buy these in bulk from Amazon. They're the cheapest thing ever. And then the guys just clip a couple as they go just to make sure nothing bad happens. And then this is tiny. This is not the normal one. But you go buy a 1-inch spring clamp Just go buy a whole bunch of them from Home Depot. Not Home Depot, Harbor Freight. And as you're going, like there's one on every tool belt we have. I don't think I've got one on that tool belt, but as you're going, you clip it, right? So it's big and it clips the lights onto the house. Then you move your ladder. So if you bump it or something, you have that clip that's holding the lights up. And then when you move your ladder over here, you take your clip off and you hang lights and then put it over here. The spring clamp will change your life as a Christmas light installer because you'll never ever hear that awful unzip sound.
I think the last episode or the last chapter that we just did there with Clip It Good will also help the wedge part on the tough clip wedge clip helps tremendously from that happening. But I like that idea of every time you got to get down and move the ladder, you kind of reinforce it there so you're not dealing with that, because man, it is so frustrating. You've been out there during Christmas light season, it's some long days, right? 10-12 hour days sometimes, and man, you might be on the 11th hour of your day and you've just hung 15 lights and all you want to do is go home, and then you just hear and it's just
I've had it happen to me on a big house. Like my first year, big house. I didn't know what I was doing, right? And so I'm clipping and there's no gutters. And there's this big house and I started over here and I'm over here. And yeah, something happened. I stepped on it, bumped it with the ladder. I don't remember. It was 2019. And then it just goes and like the heartbreak that you feel just cannot be put into words. Like destroyed.
It just sucks. All right, let's go back to watching some.
Did you break your leg?
I don't know.
I love this part. She's just all like, you can almost hear it in her voice, like, I told you not to put lights up in the ice. Did you break your leg? I don't know. Dude, look at this. 3 kids watching, the wife watching, 3 dogs.
I don't know.
Dogs everywhere. I don't know.
Dude. So funny. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that like wouldn't happen to us, because anything's possible. But like you watch these and you're like, bro, that's so easily avoidable if you just don't be a bonehead. Like, I mean, that ladder is not at an OSHA approved angle to begin with.
No, it's too far out for sure.
Yeah, you can tell ground it's like bending.
The ground is at minimum wet, but it looks more like ice to me. And with all the jackets and stuff they got on, I think the driveway is iced. So one thing that we learned for sure this year, though, is you have got just throw that ladder away unless you know how to replace the little rubber feet. You lose your feet, don't get on that ladder, man. This is what can happen for sure.
Yeah,
but let's watch it one more time.
Yeah. Did you break your leg?
I don't know.
Oh, that sucks so hard.
All right. One last reason that we will always have lights to hang here.
They don't even work.
They don't work, man. You go to Home Depot, you go to wherever, you think in your head, man, you're Clark Griswold, you're going to knock this thing out. You're going to have the coolest looking house on the block. You get done, you turn them on, half of them work, half of them don't. Even the ones that do, you look across at your neighbor who paid one of us to put them up, and you're like, dang it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's just, we're always going to have work, right? So, all right, that was a fun little episode. All right, let me transition into the next little topic that I have for you, Nick. I am calling this Beyond the Bucks, the joy of holiday creations. So here's what this is all about. So we've talked about jumping into business, why we've done it. Mostly you and I, we jumped in because we wanted to make money. But once I jumped in, I started realizing that it's a little bit more than making money, that there is some return on this from the heart, right? From the emotional feelings that you get to bring to people. So I want to tell a quick story. I hope you might have one. This has happened on multiple different occasions, but this is just the extra that comes, right? So I've had lots of people who are, man, they haven't had family in town for years and they're having them and they just want to decorate it big and you get to be part of that for them, right? But maybe one of the most emotional stories I had was uh, uh, this mom came to me, grandma, actually, this grandma came to me, and her daughter and her grandson had been having a really rough year. I think that their father had left. Right, they were going through divorce, and so they had to move out into a rental home, small rental home, things going on. And the grandma just really, she was pretty much willing to pay whatever if we could come and we could decorate their house and surprise them so that they could come home and have this one good thing for the year, right? And so I just remember thinking that's pretty cool that we get to be part of this and part of that process to help this family in a tough time, right? So it's not all about how many money we're going to make. We're going to make the money. That's great. But there's some other things to it too. So I was wondering, do you have any good, joyful holiday stories from your time?
Yeah, one of the most like impactful, I guess you could say, moments was pretty early on. I want to say it was my second season installing professional lights. Like, so I made the switch. I don't install other people's lights anymore. Don't do that at home, folks. But we did this massive house where, like, I remember going on site and doing an on site, what do you call that? Consultation, because it was just so damn big. I was like, I've got to go to the house and see this. And she's like, are you gonna be able to do it? Like everybody told me no last year. Nobody would touch it. I couldn't get any of the services to do it. I'm like, oh, no, we don't turn anything down. Like, yeah, we got this. Don't worry. I'm just out here to try and figure out, what's going to charge, what I'm going to have to charge you. And so it ended up being $5,000. And she said yes the moment that I gave her the bid.
Nice.
So she paid a 30% down payment. And then we go out and we do this house about a week or two before Thanksgiving. And she comes out to pay the remainder and gives me a check for like $3,000 plus with tears in her eyes. And so it's kind of like the best of both worlds coming together, because obviously I just got a check for $3,000 plus. That's awesome. And then to have this person that's so excited that they get Christmas because of me. Without me, there is no Christmas, because there is no Christmas lights, and those two things are very, very, very linked together. So the satisfaction from a business standpoint and a personal standpoint was on display in full force, because she's like hugging me with tears in her eyes as she pays me $3,200 or whatever it was. It was just crazy.
You probably had tears in your eyes too.
I'm holding
First
them
year,
back.
first year, $5,000 job, 3,200 checks. Yeah, you got tears in your eyes.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Straight
and it was
to the bank with that bad boy.
It was kind of one of those things where it was the power of Christmas. Like, everybody knows Christmas is a big deal. It's a big deal to almost everybody. And then you go start hanging Christmas lights and charging good money for them, and you're like, wow, I did not realize, like, Christmas is way bigger than I thought. Like, just way more emotional, way more important, way more people are just willing to spend $10,000. Some, right, not everybody, but some clients, $10,000 house,
Insane amounts of money.
Just wild. But they don't even hesitate. It's like, it's Christmas, they have to.
I'm going to steal a story that was in one of the groups. Well, actually, it wasn't in one of the groups. It was directly posted to me. So you might not have seen it, but it was one of our customers for Let's Get Lit Supply this year. She got called in on this job on this fancy house on a lake. And they were asking her to decorate the back of the house, which seemed odd. And they said, it's kind of urgent. Can you do it quick? And she was like, yeah, what's going on? And she said that a few years prior, that the guy across the lake had come over because they had their house decorated and told him this story. They said that a bunch of bad things had been going on in his life, and he was on the verge of committing suicide. And he was sitting on the porch thinking about it, and I guess their Christmas lights came on. And it was like this moment of joy for him, or this thing, and like that's what kept him in the moment from doing it. So um, after that, the family felt like this crazy obligation to do it every year and to do it big. So they've been like basically sending this I don't know, love letter across the lake to this guy to say, man, like, things are good. Like, we love you. We care about you. Like, Christmas is a thing. So, um, I was like, man, to the customer, I was like, that's kind of a heavy burden. But
Yeah, that's
oh
heavy.
shoot, I've lost my camera again, Joe.
More camera problems. Yeah, that's
More camera
pretty.
problems. But yeah, I really think that Christmas lights it's more than just money to me. I mean, it's just something different. I mean, I love the holiday. I love the way that my kids, want me to put up lights, and I get out there to do it. To be able to bring that to other people is special.
Yeah, this year I'm gonna do something. I'll definitely do one. We'll see how it goes. I might do multiple, but I'm gonna put out there probably on Facebook from our Facebook page to nominate somebody. We'll go to their house for free. And so what are the
Nice.
so
Yeah.
I'm gonna have like kind of almost like a landing page on the website where there'll be a link that goes to that. I mean, I may run ads to this. I don't know. This is actually, now that I'm kind of talking about this out loud, it's a better idea than I thought. But then they'll have to go there and nominate their person, right? Give us all the information of this person, their address and everything, so we can do the job if we pick them. And then a little box to explain why they're nominating this person. And then we'll go through and like I said, we'll definitely pick one, but we'll see. Maybe we'll pick multiple and show up and surprise them. I'm kind of like picturing it like Mr. Beast video style, like show up, knock on the door, be like, yeah, hi, we're here to put Christmas lights on your house. Like, oh, we don't, no, I didn't order that. Like, nope, you didn't, because Sally and Susie nominated you and we're donating them to your house. And
Dude,
then we'll
that's
put
gonna
up
be
the
cool,
Christmas
man.
lights. Yeah, I think it'll be
I can't
awesome.
wait to see that. I hadn't thought about it, but just to tie into that, I guess a little bit is both Big and Bright Christmas lights and Let's Get Lit Supply. And you're part of that. Thank you so much. We donate 3% of our sales to charity water. And so in a weird way, this Christmas donation, or this Christmas, we're us making this money off of Christmas lights, carries over, and somebody in Africa or Southeast Asia or South America gets water, clean drinking water. So
Amazing.
pretty excited about that. Well, listen, I didn't know how long these things were going to go, so I planned one extra segment just in case. It's not fully Christmas light related, and I'm going to surprise you with it, Nick. So I'm going to tell a story, and then if you'll listen, maybe you'll get something out of it. So I was reading a book the other day, and this kind of hit me kind of hard. So I thought, man, I'm going to use this somewhere, and this is the time I'm going to use it. Okay. So I'm going to call this shoot your shot, but hit the right target. All right. So I heard this story back in 2004 at the Athens Olympics. Okay. There was this sharpshooter. His name was Matthew Edmonds. He was from the US. And he is widely known as the most accurate shooter of all time. He never loses, and so on that day, they had all the expectation that Matthew Edmonds was going to win gold, and that everybody else was just there for the silver and bronze medal. Let's see what you can do. All right, and so in this particular event, there was 10 rounds, and after the 9th round of shots, Matthew Edmonds had such a big lead that it was impossible for him to lose as long as he hit the target. Okay. All he had to do is clip the target, and he would win. So he sets up to take the 10th shot, the gold medal winning shot. He aims his gun like he always does. He slows his breathing. He slows his heart rate. He starts listening. All right. And he smoothly pulls the trigger in between heartbeats so there's no shake. That bullet travels true and hits dead in the middle of the bullseye. Okay. But the place should be going nuts, but it's not. It's dead silence, because here's what happened. While he was aiming, he wasn't paying attention, and he aimed one lane over. So he hit the bullseye one lane over. So instead of, winning, he fell to 22nd place and he didn't win gold that day. He was expected to, right? So here's the moral of the story. Here's what I want you to comment on. A lot of times in business, whether it's Christmas lights, inflatables, any of the other things that we do, all right, you can be the best. You can be aiming at targets, you can be hitting bullseyes, but if you're shooting at the wrong target, you're not going to win. You're not going to get gold. You're going to fall out of place. So, do you feel like I know sometimes I shoot at the wrong targets? I get all excited about stuff that makes no business sense whatsoever. So, examine your business. Examine, maybe comment for other people. What can we be doing to make sure that we're hitting the right targets in our business and winning?
Yeah, I mean, you run a business, you're going to make mistakes because you don't have a filter there to help you out. There's no boss that you can or have to go bounce an idea off of. So I remember that from corporate life where I'd have this badass idea and I'd go to my boss and then, it would get shot down for some arbitrary reason that didn't, right? Just somebody's opinion. And so when I became an entrepreneur, I'm like, well, I get to do whatever I want. I get to do everything. And so the amount of money that I've spent on the wrong thing is just insane. My favorite story, and now this is like probably $35, right? It's not that big of a deal. But $35 is a ton of money when you're a brand spanking new company. So I'm very big into branding. Like, it's very rare that I'm ever on a camera not wearing a red shirt. It's Mardi Gras right now, so I'm trying to be festive. I'm in my purple, but I'm very big into branding. So what I did at this time, the jump off is just me delivering inflatables. Okay, I have my next door neighbor, 15-year-old kid, paying cash to clean them, and then I do all the deliveries, all the pickups, basically myself. So I want to be very professional looking. So what do? I go search up. I probably spent wasted an hour of my life finding this where I can go make a clipboard, a custom clipboard. So the clipboard is my logo. So it's a big jump off logo, bright red clipboard, and it's super awesome. And then at the bottom, I put, if you refer 5 friends, you get 1 friend free. And so that way, when the contract would go on it, you would be able to read that at the bottom. Well, I was kind of being dopey. As soon as the contract goes on it, you don't see the label. You don't see the branding. Nobody ever knew that this $35 for a freaking clipboard. There should be 2, right? Because I had to get it custom built on Etsy or something. And so I actually had that clipboard for like 3 years. It's the only clipboard I use to kind of remind me, like, let's make wise decisions. Let's think this all the way through. I thought I was being super badass with my marketing and my branding. And then no, I wasted the money on a stupid clipboard that didn't really work.
Man, I hear that, dude. When I was doing the rentals, I had a whole shelf full of like things that we just bought and tried. Like, okay, this will make it easier to clean if we have this. This will make it easier to put in a trailer if we have this, or roll that, or this, or like and it's like you don't want to throw it away because like what if you do figure out something for it, plus you paid 35, 45, $50 for it. Just yesterday, I mean, this is years later, we were cleaning out a corner with full of junk, and it was junk like that, and it was like a it's a come along, I think is the proper name for it. But it's like you hook it on one end and then you can ratchet things up. And I bought that to stick at the front of the trailer and be like a homemade winch to pull stuff onto the trailer. Like, what am I going to be up there just ratcheting all day?
I bought a winch that plugs in and like didn't think it through. Like, I didn't know that much about all of this, but so yeah, didn't think it through. That's the right way to put it. It's like a 15-foot cable. Like, you send it out and then you hit the button and then it winches in, and then you got to reverse it, winch it back out, winch it in again. It's the and that thing was like $300, $350. And it's just like, oh my Lord. I used it one time and I'm like, this is the biggest waste of money ever.
Hey, you were talking about having corporate people that work as filters. And in your scenario, you were kind of saying, it just gets shot down for some arbitrary reason. But back in my corporate days, I had a lot of people who I could just go to and run an idea about it. And the thing was, often they would just see like a side effect or something, that a consequence to my behavior that I was just blinded to, because the idea was so bright and right in front of me that I didn't really think about like the consequences of what it might do. So I think that there's something there, that when we move out and we become business owners of ourselves, that if we can find somebody like a trusted confidant or something to bounce ideas off and be like, dude,
Right.
I'm so excited about this next effort. And they might just go, dude, like, it sounds awesome, but man, what happens when this happens? What happens with that happen? And look, it's gonna suck to talk to that guy, because they're gonna deflate your balloon, and you're gonna be like, every time I talk to this person, they shoot down my good ideas. But they might save me some money. They really might save me some money and some time and some effort.
Yeah, that's so when I went on the blocks, I was there for a week and it was a competition TV show. So there's a lot going on, but some of the stuff that I could talk through and have good feedback from the judges or coaches or Wes was very, very, very powerful, because they are much further along in their entrepreneurial careers than I am, right? They're older than me and way more successful. So they have a great point of view on everything. So then when I went back to the blocks grad school, it was like times 10 on that. So between, I think, yeah, so between Jarrett and Wes, you had two experts that were covering literally 17 different topics. And so they cover a topic on fundraising, and you kind of like start thinking about this, that, or whatever. And so then you can go to them and ask them, or run this idea you had about, raising capital to get more inventory, or to be able to scale faster or whatever. And they can put it in a nice little package of action, or they'll kind of shoot you down. And so when I left there, that's when I almost immediately joined Beta Blocks, which is the more prototypical startup accelerator that the Blocks has, that Wes has, because now I get a coaching call every month with two different coaches on whatever I need to work on, whatever I need to talk about. And then that's kind of what they do, is they'll hold me accountable. They'll steer me in the right direction. Or just if it's something I genuinely don't have any information about, they can kind of fill in gaps and keep me moving on my way. But I was just kind of like, now that I'm to the point where I'm at, I'm just like, I just need that person or people that I can kind of have to help steer the ship. And yes, I pay Beta Blocks, and yes, it's going to be a pretty hefty chunk of change by the time we're done. But I just started the program, and it's already been that so much more helpful to keep me going in the right direction.
Yeah. I think often when people start new businesses, one area that they really kind of maybe miss the target in is their marketing, is their advertising, is how they're getting out to people. I'm all for Google Ads and for your website working and all of those things. But often, especially like inflatables, somebody will buy 3 inflatables, put up a website, pay for ERS or inflatable office or whatever, and then they'll pay a marketing company to go out there and start pushing Google Ads, and they're paying for it significantly, pay somebody to do SEO and all of that stuff. But the problem is, when you have 3 inflatables, I mean, what your website's not going to convert. I mean, not in any sort of meaningful way, because you're just not going to have the item that people are looking for. So I'm not saying not to do it, but I think if people put all of their eggs in that basket and they put all their money into it and they shoot their full shot at that target, they're going to be a little frustrated with, why are they not seeing the results? When you got 3 units, man, you really got to be doing stuff on the ground. You got to be finding ways to book them locally, through friends, family, talking to people, putting up signs, handing out business cards, putting stickers on gas pumps, like whatever you need to do, because that's once you get that one-on-one conversation going with somebody, you have a good chance of putting them into one of your units. But if that just
Sorry, one of
If
my
that just
employees just walked in. One of my employees walked in my office.
if that just blank, not blank, but that like no personality, no verbal voice website, it's just that's not going to be able to lock them down as much. So I think when you're getting going, it's very important that you target stuff that's actually going to drive the business forward.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I was super big on when I first started. And I got up to 18 units super fast. So, or in that range, 18, 20, something like that. But I was still like scared shitless of a website because it's an expense that I felt like I didn't need to incur because I had such a good system because I'm smart and organized, right? So I've got pencils and papers and all sorts of stupid little systems. It was a huge mistake. If I could have started with Inflatable Office sooner, I'd be bigger and more successful now. You know what I mean? But it's kind of one of those things where you don't know. And then, but now I get to go right all the wrongs that I did incorrectly in the beginning and push people towards those things, push people towards doing it the right way. But your point, though, the 3 inflatables and then they're trying to run Google ads thing, you're just like, bro, what are you doing? Like, you're going to try and run Google ads to get traffic to a website that has 3 rentable items on it? Like, can we talk through this? That's not a good idea.
It's just not going to work. I mean, that's the
Yeah,
thing.
nobody's going to, it's not going to convert. That's what, I think I was having the conversation with somebody on Instagram DM, but they were talking about that. And I'm like, dude, your website, they were asking me about their website, I think. And I'm like, bro, this website is nobody's going to come here and buy anything. Like, well, I'm going to run ads to it. I'm like, okay, you're just going to be wasting money. People are going to click your ad. They're going to come to your website and be like, what the did I get myself into? And then they're going to hit the back button. Your bounce rate's going to be 70, 80% because this website will not convert. No way,
Just
no
won't convert.
how. Yeah. And then they start asking me questions. I'm like, dog, I'm not a web designer, but here's my website. I pointed out like a quick 5 things. And they're like, oh, yeah, wow. I'm like, yeah. And my bounce rate's still higher than I want it to be. Like, just imagine if it was
Absolutely.
terrible.
Well, that's what I had for today, man. But I did just look. It's the day after the Super Bowl. Got my Patrick
I know.
Mahomes
I was going
gear
to
on
ask you
here.
about that.
I mean,
That game was intense.
Chiefs Kingdom. Dude, Patrick Mahomes is kind of a local guy here in Dallas. He grew up down the road playing high school and then played here not too far away in Texas. So I'm a big fan. Plus, I played a little quarterback in high school, and he just does it at a level I've never seen before. Can't say he's the GOAT yet. I mean, Brady just set that bar so freaking high with 7 Super Bowl wins, 10 Super Bowl appearances, but 6 years into a career, never not making the AFC Championship game, winning 3 Super Bowls, 3 Super Bowl MVPs, um, going to 4 times. Man, I just and then making it to overtime and my camera's gone. Making it to overtime and then you just knew he was gonna do it, right?
Just knew it, dude. And yeah, that's the crazy thing to me about it is how young he is. Like, I mean, he's going to play for 10 more years, right? He's going to play for another decade. And then that doesn't even put him, based versus Brady, which I don't know that anybody's going to play as long as Brady, but even
That's
10 years from
yeah.
now, Mahomes would play 5 more years if he plays like as long as Brady did. So the dude's got 10 to 15 more shots at this. Yeah, all the sports talk shows are right. They're always over dramatic, but I'm like, dude, stop playing it. Is he? Like, we should be talking about Willie. Like, will he be able to dethrone him? I mean,
I don't
I think
know.
he's got a shot.
Is
So
is he willing to sleep in, like, the hyperbaric chamber every night and eat nothing but, like, rice cakes or
lentils or
whatever
whatever.
Brady used to do? You know? I
Yeah.
guess that's the thing. Did you see on the pregame, and I guess this has been going around, but I didn't see it. Somebody got a shot of him, and he was not looking fit, and they were
Oh
knocking him
yeah.
for having a dad bod real bad. In the pregame, he was like, "Man, that was just a bad angle."
That's so funny. Well, what I think is weird is there's really not any quarterbacks that have like that are ripped except for Will Levis. Like everybody, all the other quarterbacks, like you don't want to be ripped. Like,
You
right?
don't
It's
want to
hard
be
to play
ripped.
quarterback.
No.
You don't need to be buff and tore up.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that game last night though, dude, I was on the edge of my seat because I had a substantial amount of money on Kansas City. I had the money line and I had the spread, but all on Kansas City. And when I say substantial amount of money, it's substantial for me as a
I was gonna ask
pretty
how much. I don't know
pedestrian
if you
better.
want to share.
Yeah, I mean, I had $200 on. Let's see, I had $200 on the money line because it paid bigger, and then I had $100 on the spread, and then I had a litany of other goofy prop bets that I raked on. I did really well. One of them was, and I did not win this bet, obviously, but if L'Jarius Sneed would have won the MVP, my $10 bet would have paid me $1,800.
Right. Well,
So I made quite a few of those.
it's virtually impossible is
Right.
why.
But I was like, $10? Let's go.
Why not?
But yeah, so I ended up winning in total close to $400. And like I
Nice.
said, as a pedestrian bettor, like I know that those numbers are small for pros out there, and they're probably small for some degenerates out there too. But I'm not a huge gambler, so I was super stoked when Miko Hardman caught the touchdown. I like looked at my wife. I'm like, that's it. That's it, right? Like it's over. And she's like, yeah, we did it. We won.
Well, you probably already had it on the spread at least. Because what was the spread?
2. I was in at 2.
Oh, no, you wouldn't. Yeah, you wouldn't have had it then because they would have won by 3.
Yep. So
But I mean, I'm not a bettor either, not really. But Mike and I made a bet that either him or I would buy the entire team. Like we'd do a barbecue, and whoever lost had to pay. So I won with the Chiefs. The whole team's
nice.
getting, I don't know, steaks or something on the grill.
Send me an
So
invite, dude. Maybe I'll fly in.
come on
If
in
it's on
for that.
Mike.
We'll do it on Mike's dime there. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
I was so thrilled. The first half was weird and scary.
Right.
I mean, because I'm a big fan, so it was weird and just not going right. And it was slow. No, barely any offense. And I was like, man, I'm not counting it out. And I just kept counting. I kept counting. Okay, we're gonna get some sort of points going into halftime, and then we're gonna come right back and score. So they got the ones going into halftime, and I was like, all right, the plan's coming together. But then
The
nothing coming
mess
back
coming.
out.
Yeah. Yeah. I was watching. I was like,
What
dude,
was the first
Mahomes,
play? I think he pitched it out to the running back and man,
Pacheco.
running Pacheco, and he just drops it and it's like 2nd and 23. I'm like, freaking me.
Yeah. And then and then right after that's when he chucked the interception because Kelsey ran the wrong route or something. Like not even in the ballpark. I was like, dude, I don't think they got it.
No,
Like
that one
this is
was
a
all on
dud.
him. That was all
Yeah.
on Mahomes. But it's
Oh,
because
okay.
he was running forward and he did that little pump fake thing, and then he was
Yeah.
off
Yeah.
balance, and then he just threw it high, went over.
Yeah, but
He should have
I
just
was just like, it's
pulled it
over,
and
dude.
ran.
I don't think they got it. They don't got the juice.
That block field goal or extra point came in the clutch for sure.
Okay.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
they would have lost by 1.
The ball, and what's so crazy? I called that. Like we're sitting on the couch, and so we were out at the parades, and then we raced home and like got to our house, and like it was just my wife and I watching the game. Like watched every snap, no one to talk to, no distractions, and so I put my hand up. I'm like, watch this, dude. Like I don't remember exactly what I said, but I put my hand up like it's gonna get blocked, and then it gets blocked. I'm like, what in the world? How did I just call that? How did that just happen?
Wow, man, but it's insane. I mean, just can't count them out. Can't count them out. And then you got Kelsey on there at the end singing "Viva Las Vegas," and you got your right. You got to fight for your right to party. It's good
Oh, I
stuff.
just love it. I just love it.
I'll
So
tell
yeah,
you,
next.
they didn't
Go ahead.
show enough Jason Kelsey for me. There should have been more Jason Kelsey last night.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. Yeah, I mean, it just makes me all the more like, and I'm not a football fan. Like, I don't like, I'm not an NFL fan, but I'm just that much more excited for next year because of, generally speaking, how crappy Kansas City played the entire year, like up and down, but lots of down. And then they had to go on the road and win in the playoffs, and they did that. And they had to beat these amazing teams, and they did that. And then to get to the Super Bowl and have it won the way that it was won, like it's all just kind of like, wow. Imagine if they, if they get a freaking receiver that can catch, or maybe two of them next year, like
Oh yeah, they're
just gonna,
dangerous.
it's going to be that
I'm
much
not.
bigger.
I don't think I'm Nostradamus or anything like that, and I don't think I'm saying anything shocking. But I'm calling three-peat right now. I think it's going to happen. I think it's gonna. It was the first time, right? Nobody's ever done it in history. I think this is. I think this is the time.
Yeah, and I think, like, you kind of think through it, and I just don't think there's anybody that's gonna be able to beat them, other than the only person that kind of like, I'm not a Chiefs fan. Like, I don't like any teams. I like the players, right? And so I've loved Mahomes for a long time, since he kind of broke into the league. And then same with Kelsey. Like, I drafted Kelsey in my fantasy draft, like, honest to God, 9 years ago. Like, coming out, his nickname was Zeus. I don't know what happened to that, but I was so high on Kelsey, like probably his rookie year. I don't even remember. Probably Alex Smith throwing to him. But anyways, I just don't think there's anybody that can beat him except for Joe Burrow. I think has the best chance, unless the Bills can get their act together.
Yeah, I'm scared of the
And
Bills.
yeah, the Bills. But yeah, it's kind of like, but Joe Burrow has been unhealthy the last 2 years in a row. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
this is his year. If he goes down with another injury, he's going to be like, we're all going to write him off too. So
And look, San Francisco could have won last night. They're capable. Brock Purdy's special. I like Brock Purdy. He's only going to
yeah,
get better. McCaffrey is a freaking beast. He's a man among children. He's insane what he can do. So I mean, it's not a slam dunk by any means. I mean, they
it's
could have
not.
lost any of these games, honestly. But I think they have to be better next year. There's no way that they're worse. I don't think, unless the
Yeah, that's
defense
right.
falls off.
Yeah, the Chris Jones thing. I know he was like sitting out a whole bunch, like opting out or whatever at the beginning of the year, and then finally started playing. So I don't know all the ins and outs. I think L'Jarius Sneed is a free agent, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, there's definitely some pieces that they got to go through, but but it'll be a super fun to watch and track it next year.
It'll be a good time. All right, well, let's wrap this thing up. I don't have anything cool to wrap this thing with. You got any fun wrap up, or we'll just say goodbye?
Yeah, guys, go subscribe. Go subscribe to the new podcast. And then I think a good idea too would be find either Matt or myself somewhere on social media, send us a DM, and suggest a name for the show. we, you know,
Yes.
we like to just kind of do things. So Matt and I both. So we just figured we'd start and then worry about the details later. So the show is still unnamed. So give us your ideas for a show name.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
make it something where it's not super like try hardy.
Please find me on YouTube, Big and Bright Inflatables, and subscribe as there. I could use some subscribers. I'm not doing anywhere near as good as Nick is, but I would, this is my passionate plea to, throw me a bone and subscribe on YouTube. We're going to be making some amazing videos, both inflatable related, Christmas light related, training videos, all sorts of stuff this year. So it's worth subscribing to. But yeah. I don't have a name. It has been wearing on me that I don't have a name. You've probably seen that. I sent you about a list of, I don't know,
Yeah.
15 things during the game yesterday, just hoping that one of them would just that's the one, but nothing just had me.
Yeah, the same. I read through the list twice this morning, and I was like, eh.
I don't know. We need a cool hometown or something that we mutually share, but it just nothing that we mutually share is all
Yeah,
that cool.
no, but it's all good. It's all good. We'll find the right. We'll end up naming it like the Fish Podcast or something random.
That's what I got down to, okay, we just need to find a word, just a word. Any
Yeah.
word that's cool, that makes some sense. I was on AI and I was just searching cool words and their meanings, and then hoping that one was just like, that's it.
Yeah, go to
But it was all like,
thesaurus.com. I used to do that back in the day when I was a blogger. I'd go to thesaurus.com and then type in like,
oh yeah, I did that too.
oh, you did. Okay. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
always my move.
definitely. I was
We
like,
need to
I can't
do
call it
this is
hustle.
what we need to
So
do. So this is what we need to do. Let's name the show like we're going to be a band. That'll be fun. So yeah, so
don't they have they have websites that like you can pick your rapper name by entering 3 different things, and then or your
yeah.
stripper name, or all the different some sort of names.
What's our
But
like
yeah, a
our
band name would
heavy
work.
metal band?
All
That's
right,
awesome. So
Nick.
suggest a name for our heavy metal band. All you listeners out there, all you new listeners, subscribe and suggest our name of our band.
We would appreciate it. Have a
Okay.
great day. Thank you.
Peace.